Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a psychic reading, mediumship reading, on the singer Juan Gabriel, who is a Mexican, Latin American recording singer, artist, and songwriter from Mexico. And he passed away, supposedly, that's what they say. And so there's been a lot of speculation on his death. A lot of people in the Latin American community took it kind of to heart. I know a lot about Juan Gabriel because growing up in, I'm partially Latino myself, and I'm Spanish descent, but also there is some Mexican descent in there. So growing up, I did see a lot of him on the Spanish stations performing alongside Rocio Dúrcal, which is a famous Spanish singer from Spain, and she crossed over into the Mexican Mexico, into that kind of industry, into the mariachi type of music. So for those of you that are not aware of who Juan Gabriel is, I'm just giving you kind of like a synopsis, a quick summary of who he was, and I'm going to get into what I see, throughout his career, any messages that are coming through from his soul and from my spirit guides, and what was the cause of death, because there's a lot of speculation. He was residing in Santa Monica, I believe, in California, and upon his passing, it's very strange. They said that he passed of a heart attack. They also said that they didn't perform an autopsy on the body, and they immediately cremated the remains and sent the remains to Mexico, where they had a big procession and service, like a tribute to Juan Gabriel. So that in itself is kind of odd. Where have we ever seen that medical examiners just don't do an autopsy if they weren't in a hospital? Or usually an autopsy is done in many cases, even if it's a celebrity. So it's strange that it wasn't done. So I'm going to get into all of this here immediately. The first thing that I want to say is that Juan Gabriel, a lot of you that wouldn't listen to his music or haven't listened to his music or wouldn't know, you need to listen to his music. Even if you don't listen to Spanish music or you don't understand it, this man was so good at what he did. He was so soulful. It's like his music would come alive. He had this eccentric, flamboyant, eccentric type of personality, almost like the male version of, well, not the male version, but the Latino version of Elton John. In many ways, his outfits were extravagant. His persona was extravagant. It was top of the line, and he had a lot of people respected him in Mexico and in Los Angeles and California, and in Texas. He was known internationally. He was an international superstar in the Latin American community. Music, and there, he was just someone that I feel like he was an angel. That's what I get. He was part angel. Like his DNA, his soul was a very angelic soul, very well liked, but at the same time very much in pain. Someone misunderstood, someone that kind of struggled with their own self sense of fitting into this world. And I feel like with music, he came alive. He was, it was what made him, feel like he was whole. I do get that his mother would have passed. I don't know if he was young, but I feel like she's been gone for a long time before he passed. I feel like he missed his mom a lot. There was a lot of he was very close, or there was just a relationship with his mom that he would have missed. But I feel like he felt her presence all the time around him. He did keep a lot of secrets to himself. I know that kind of sounds redundant when you listen to some of my videos on the celebrity mediumship psychic readings that I'm doing. But that was the case, with a lot of celebrities, especially singers. They have to keep a lot of aspects of their life, secret from the spotlight. For those of you that are speculating, there was a lot of speculation whether he was gay or bisexual, which it doesn't really matter. I mean, he was a beautiful soul regardless. He did have quite a bit of children. I can't remember the exact amount, but he had several children, and he never got married. He never got married. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm also going to be talking about Rocio Dúrcal, which is a very good friend of his that passed way before Juan Gabriel from uterine cancer, I believe. And the relationship with when Rocio was introduced to him, I feel like they hit it off right at the bat. She was very eccentric herself, very flamboyant herself, to a certain extent, if a woman can be referenced as flamboyant, or I think the better term is eccentric. She was, very much like her energy matched his, and I feel like they were kindred soulmates in many ways. I feel like they were soulmates and they were brought together, but I don't feel like they had anything romantically together. He respected her, she respected him. I feel like she talked about her life and the men in her life that she would have dated. He would have talked about the people that he would have been with, and what had gone on in his life. They had a special bond and connection, and when she passed away, which I believe, I can't remember when exactly that was, but it was a couple years before him. He took it hard. I really feel like he feels like, I felt like what I get from his soul is that he felt like he lost a piece of his soul, because in many ways she was like, um, a sister, but even more than that, I feel like they were like soulmates. And so there was this chemistry, and when they both sang together on stage, if you go and look at performances of Juan Gabriel and Rocio Dúrcal, y'all will be in shock of how beautiful their synergy was together. They made music come alive. And I remember listening to these songs, and if I listen to them, I always tear up because you can feel the emotion. They are not just singers, they are not just performers. They were a duo, a power duo. Just it was a beautiful thing. Um, I feel like he, excuse me, I'm losing my voice here a little bit. So when I get into Juan Gabriel and his career, he was well liked by many in the Latin American community. But when it came to a lot of men that were also mariachis and were into, música regional, like regional music. It's kind of, there's different genres in the Latin American music, in Spanish music. There's banda, and then there's, música regional. There's just a lot of different aspects to the Latin American music. I feel like he wasn't really accepted by a lot of these men because he sold millions of records. He was someone that was, very well, like I said, he had a lot of power and presence in the music industry. And I feel like a lot of other men, kind of, they bullied him in many ways. There was a lot of talk, but he held his own, and I feel like Juan Gabriel wasn't someone that, was a spineless jellyfish. He really, held his backbone when it came to defending himself. But there was a lot of personal attacks. There was a lot of people who paid the tabloids, other singers that would have paid tabloids or had connections to write scathing editorials or things about him, and even in the news, to have this kind of tarnish his reputation. Did he use substances? Who doesn't nowadays in the industry? Whether it was pills, like caffeine pills to stay alert, or there was when I say substances, not necessarily illegal drugs. There are prescriptions, painkillers, there's energy drinks. That's kind of considered a substance too in many ways, even though some people would negate that. Anything that is, that has caffeine that speeds up your heart rate and whatnot and gives you energy, a boost of energy, is considered a drug. So he would have had some kind of that going on. I feel like he was also depressed at many times. I feel like the depression, people would look at him and they would think, he was always happy on stage. You wouldn't be able to tell. There was a couple of times he got emotional on stage, and you would see his vulnerability. But for the most part, he wouldn't exude that on stage. But I'm getting from his souls that he was very sad. I feel like there was a lot of conflict. I feel like some of the children that he had didn't really accept him, or they were kind of like embarrassed in many ways. Some some of them were embarrassed. There was a lot of greed. There's a lot coming through about money, greed about his money, and them talking about. I hear family talking about, when their father, or when he would pass, who would get the inheritance, like who would get hands on the money. Juan Gabriel also was like Michael Jackson in many ways, because Michael Jackson also fought, and Prince, they fought for their rights for their music. Back in from 1996 to 1986 to 1994, this is public knowledge, this piece that I'm giving you, but I'm giving it to you for a reason. I'm going to explain it why. Because it all kinds of, I'm marking crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's. When you get into the, and research, Juan Gabriel, and you research just that piece, he was signed with BMG Records. There was a big dispute over the copyright or the ownership of the music. Juan Gabriel wanted to be the only one that had rights to that music. And from 1986 to 1994, I don't know if this is true or not. Again, it's public knowledge, it's out there. You can look it up yourself. He refused to record any music because he just didn't want to, because he wanted the rights to his music. And I don't blame him, He needed those rights to the music. You make money and royalties even after years of recording, music. You still continue to make for albums that are selling even after that. So he fought just like Michael Jackson fought with his record company, and Prince fought with his record company. He fought for those rights. And I believe that the dispute was settled, and then he started producing music again. So keep that in mind in the forefront, that there was a major record company, and he took money away from them in many ways when the rights to that music was handed over, signed over, or he was given, some kind of, there was an agreement made in all cases. So keep that in mind. I get also that there was a lot of fighting going on. When I say fighting, not physical fight necessarily, it's more verbally. There was a lot of discussions, a lot of mental anguish that would have led to depression, threats, even in some way. I don't know, and I hate to even say this out because I respect Juan Gabriel's memory. There was something with the cartel of Mexico. I don't know to this point exactly what is coming through, but I keep hearing cartel. So I don't know if he was involved in some kind of way or threatened in some kind of way, by them. I don't know, but I keep hearing cartel. So there's something there as well tied to all of this. So I'm just going to continue. I do get that there was a lot of positivity. He was coming out of like a depressive state of mind a few months before his passing, but his health deteriorated. I feel like he did have numerous health issues. I feel like he had high blood pressure at one time. I get that he would have had heart problems, something with the way that on the upper valve of the heart, the way that it pumps blood. And I also get like palpitations, like an irregular heartbeat. There was something with one of the valves on the right side of the heart. I'm getting on the right side of the heart. I feel like his heart was enlarged a little bit. What did he have? Congestive heart failure? No, I don't get that he would have had congestive heart failure, but he did have health issues. He had some circulation issues. There was also some vascularity issues. I think they call it peripheral arteriosclerosis. I don't know the medical terminology. That's what I keep seeing from Spirit. Peripheral, which is, I don't know if it's attributed to diabetes or if he even was diagnosed with diabetes, but I feel like he was either diabetic or borderline. But this is what I'm getting from Spirit. I feel like his body was abused in many ways from, the long tours that he did, the hours on stage, the sleepless nights, because he was a very hard worker, very dedicated, and he never disappointed his fans. When they paid for concerts, he was there. You know, maybe he would have canceled one concert or two, but he had a very strong work ethic, and no one to this day can kind of tarnish his name at all for what he did in the music, the quality of music that he produced. So that, is something that he wants to say, that, that message is coming across. He loves his children, each and every one of them, and he wishes that he would have been more present for them. I feel like there was a distance between him and his children, all of them. Um, and he didn't want them to become greedy and to become used to a certain lifestyle, because I feel like even though he wasn't very close with them in many ways, he did provide for them financially. They were comfortable. I don't feel like they were, struggling at all the children. He had the money. He had the money for it. And he was, very powerful. Like I said, he was producing good music. He was well established in the music industry. People revered him. They looked up to him. But I get a lot of towards the end of, his life, that he was like running away from something. There's just something that I'm getting from my spirit guides, like a shadow following him. Like there's something that he was running away from, and he was like feeling like he wasn't completely happy where he was. So I don't know. There was like a struggle whether he should reside in California or he should go to Mexico. There was that kind of split thing. I feel like he wanted to be in Mexico, but for some reason there was, something going on here in America that he felt more safety. And again, this goes back to me talking about the drug cartel. I don't know if they were after him or there was a threat made on him, or if he ever had a threat, but I get he was threatened somehow in some way by powerful men in the music industry, whether these are the record companies or whatnot. The fact that, when it is sometimes, big organizations, criminal organizations like that, they have connections as well, just like the people in the music industry and entertainment industry, to, pay people off, threaten people. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not saying this is exactly what happened, but I'm just giving you what I'm getting. Do I feel like Juan Gabriel passed from a heart attack? No, I don't. I do feel like he was, I get, that there would have been something like someone breaking in, and there would have been some kind of altercation and a struggle that would have led to, I feel like the body was beaten, to be honest with you. That's just what I'm getting. There was an altercation. There was several people, at least 3 or 4. I don't know why. I'm keep seeing visions of that, and I'm getting that. There's been speculations from the manager or somebody that used to be close on his team, that he's coming back on December 15, 2018, that he faked his death, which is false. I don't feel like that is any validity on that. It's false. But I don't feel, the fact that they were so quick to not even do an autopsy, and they, it kind of brings up, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist, what actually happened with the body. When I get it, I see visions of strangulation, to be honest, and beaten. But like I said, money can cover up many things. But the reason that he wouldn't have had an autopsy, because an autopsy is public record. In many ways, it's like considered public record or public information. It would have shown, the coroner would have had to document and take photos, and they have to document all of that. The medical examiner, when they do an autopsy, they have to take photographs and of the body, and I'm not familiar with the whole process, but it's documented, and I feel like the body had bruises. There was head trauma, and there was neck trauma, and it would have brought about a cardiac arrest, of course, for someone his age, and being beaten. I don't like it. I feel like there was a lot of cover up here as well. It's just like we're never going to get the truth from the media. We're never going to get the truth from what really happened. And I feel like, a lot of people really wouldn't know, because I feel like the body was taken and just burned, just ashes. That raises suspicion. It really does. So I'm getting here that his soul is okay. It is at rest. He wants the people to remember his music and to remember the beauty in life, the beauty and the healing of music. And he's saying that, if you ever have a dream, to always go forth with it. And have that faith. And he's talking about God and having that strong faith with God. I don't feel like he was one that was on the dark side. Juan Gabriel wasn't someone that was involved in the dark side. He, like I said, he may have fallen into, some patterns of substances, and but he wasn't someone that was gonna, he believed in the Virgin Mary, Virgen of Guadalupe, and known in the Mexican culture, which is the Blessed Mother, in Catholicism. He believed in her highly. He believed in God. And I just don't get that he would have died from a heart attack, from a natural cause, of course. No, this wasn't a heart attack at all. And I don't feel like they're ever going to reopen the topic or reopen it to find out who did it. But I do get it was at least 3 or 4 people. And that's all I can say on this video. So, will they be held accountable? No. Like I said, there's a lot of cover-up and a lot of things. There's a lot of danger. His family is, is for a while, they kind of, feel, I don't know to this point if the family is feeling in danger, but I feel paranoia. I feel like there is some danger there. There would have been some, I don't know, some rumors that the family was involved in this, but I don't feel to this point it was the family, but other people in power. Was it the record company? I'm just going to leave that out there. I'm not saying that it was or it wasn't. Was it the cartel? Was there something that was going on the behind the scenes that we didn't know? That, or, were they working together? Those are the kind of things. But I am going to say this. The death was not natural causes. It wasn't just a heart attack brought on by any, just a regular thing. Why was the body cremated? Remember, ask yourself that. Why was it cremated and no autopsy done? What was trying to be covered? What was being covered up from this? I do feel like there's a female that is still living. I don't know if this is a daughter or someone else, in his family that would have known him, like a cousin or someone that's alive. She's pretty young. And I see her dressed like in Mexican. She would be in Mexico. And this lady is very light skinned, very beautiful. And her hair, she always wears it up, almost like in a bun. And she, I want to say she's in her late 20s or 30s, maybe mid 30s. She may be my age, like around 36, 38. I don't know, but she's there. And I feel like she knows something about this, or she's heard about it. And she thinks about him. She thinks about her, she thinks about Juan Gabriel and the family. So there's still, a lot of speculation. But like I said, it's never going to come out into the open. It's never going to come out in the open. But it doesn't matter anymore, he says, because he's in a good place. Eventually he will reincarnate. He is coming back. So he is coming back, but not like, people think that he faked his death. That's just insane for people to say something like that, So there's a lot of respect to Juan Gabriel and his family and his fans out there. And I will be doing some more readings on, if you want me to, on Latin American or Hispanic or Mexican singers, or artists out there, because they are celebrities as well. Or any international celebrity that, from India or Europe that perhaps is not here in America. I'm not biased to just doing American, celebrities. I'm open to doing celebrities from any part of the world. So if you have a celebrity that you'd like for me to do a celebrity reading on, please comment in the comment section below. If you would like to set up a private reading with me, you can go to my website, which is listed here, and also it will be listed in the description box below. It's www.raymondguzman.net/shop, and be sure to follow me on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram at Psychic Medium Ray. So thank you once again. Blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day.